Hello, it's Trevor Russell here. Thank you so much for checking in. Welcome to another chapter of the Attract Clients, Grow Sales, Business Development, How to Attract More Clients, How to Attract More Sales learning system. Okay, so what I have got for you today is education and updates around the most important topic that I feel we all need to be fully aware of and in control of, which is our cash flow. Now, for those of you watching this video who may have a whole lot of cash flow or have no cash flow or want more cash flow, you may already know some of this. You may get some great new learnings here. I'm not professing to be an accountant. I'm not professing to be anything other than someone who owns their own business, has worked with many people in business, and has seen the ups and downs of businesses when they don't get the understanding and importance of cash flow, and when they do get the understanding and importance of cash flow, which can make all the difference in our business and in our lives. And whether you're, and I say this to you, whether you're an employee or whether you're a business owner or you're in charge of a division, my experience and my education today here is in this beautiful park out here is the importance of understanding the management of cash flow in simple but very effective ways, which is what I've attempted to put together for you today. So let's get into it, okay? The first thing is I want to break it down into the 7 key areas, which seems to be a good way to get some quick, intensive, but important lessons so that you can most effectively go away and implement these things or get reminded of them or know that you're doing the great things in the area of already managing your cash flow. If you don't mind, I've got some notes because this is important education, I feel, for you, my members, and for those of you who are watching this video on my YouTube channel. I've put this out to the world because I truly believe that this is one of the most critical areas in business, and this is one of the key areas that I know when I get wrong, I have all the stress and worry, and when I get right, I'm freed up, just as I see with my clients and the businesses that I work with. Okay, so let's get into it, okay? Number 1, know your ideal daily, weekly, monthly, and annual cash flow. That's right. Know what it is that you want your ideal cash flow to be. Now, this can be very hard to do for people who don't forward project their cash flow. And I'll share with you some helpful tips at the end as to how, if you want to know how to forward plan your cash flow, I can send you some spreadsheets to do it very simply. But with all the Xero software, with all the accounting tools, with all these things, very often when I speak to people that are in struggle and ask them, do you forward project your cash flow? They say, no, we don't. We literally run from day to day, week to week, and very often is why they're in a lot of stress. Okay, the next thing is how much or how many products and services must you sell or make in salary if you're in an income to hit your target. So whether a company is turning over $20 million but they're spending 30, they're in trouble, right? So for those of you who don't do this exercise, it can be very difficult in the beginning, but for those of you who do, touche to you. But an important reminder for you in today's education is know how much you've got to sell, even if you don't necessarily know how you're going to do it. That opens things up, firstly, to the possibility that you can, but which is coming to this next point, number 3, which is looking forward, not back. No offense to the accountants in the world, but the forward-thinking accountants that I've worked with and business owners that I see constantly focusing on looking forward as opposed to back makes all the difference. What can we make? What can we do? How can we achieve our ideal monthly cash flow, annual cash flow, to be in profit, to have everything paid and have a whole lot left over for whatever you want to do with that leftover? Which comes down to point number 4. Talk, sit, and plan your ideal cash flow. Because very often in the beginning, I know from my own personal experience and people that I've worked with, sitting and working it out can be very difficult in the beginning. However, once we figure it out and know what it is that we want to make to achieve our ideal income is life-changing. Very quick story. I was working with a bookkeeping firm about 6 months ago, and the director of the bookkeeping firm, she wanted to make $25,000 a month in ideal monthly cash flow. Because I asked her, I said, how much would you want to make? And at the time, she didn't even know how she was going to do it. But over the months, we developed the work and the sales and the things that had her achieve her ideal monthly cash flow. And the really good news is, you know who you are watching this, she hit it about 8 weeks ago. So funny when we set these goals, how the magic can get to start to show up. Okay, let's continue. So then the next thing is stop raping your cash flow. Again, a lot of people that I work with and see, even myself at times, I had a finance business about 4 years ago, actually 6 years ago, and I was making a lot of money, but I found out I was raping my cash flow on things that just didn't matter. And I'm not saying don't have fun. I'm not saying don't go and, have cars and things, but very often in business, I think I see and know that we're making good cash flow. It's just that we're spending it badly. So don't rape your cash flow. The next thing is number 6. One of the most important things around the importance of having good peace of mind in your business, in your career, is the allocation of cash flow to longer term expenses such as BAS, GST. I'm astounded to find out how many people are actually paying an ATO debt because they just don't have enough cash flow. And I'd be curious to be able to see whether they actually proactively put money away every week, every month, for the GST and BAS that they know is coming, or if they're not making enough, focusing on how they can increase sales, reduce expenses so that they do have enough to allocate for BAS and GST. Very, very, very important, and I'm sure any of you watching this who get how important it is. And in there, I'm going to talk about the importance of a buffer. A buffer. If you don't, whether you have a job, whether you run a division, whether you run your own company, the importance of having what I call, firstly, the sleep money, or secondly, the FU money. So what do I mean by that? Well, the sleep money is knowing that if all cash flow stopped, if all income stopped, that you've got a buffer of money sitting there that if the world caved in, you can pay for things. Now, apparently the rule is 3 months buffer, 3 months that covers all expenses you've got held, put away to pay for those things. Now look, I know that can be quite difficult at times, but even 1 month's buffer, even for salary earners watching this, to have a 1 month or a 2 month buffer, you don't touch, you put away. So if, and I say, you want to say F you where you work, metaphorically that is, you can know that you can leave, because most stress and bullying and dramas in jobs come from people feeling and knowing that they are trapped and they're owned in that position. So I'm not saying to be disrespectful to anyone, but to have the importance to know that you can negotiate, because I don't know if you're aware of the negotiation curve, but the negotiation curve goes like this. If you have a high need, you have low power. If you have a low need, you have a high power. So if your need is low, you can negotiate so much better because you're not so attached to it. But most people are in pain and struggle because they have high need and they have no power. A buffer gives you that confidence, the ability to be able to say F you if you want to. I'm not saying don't go and say that to anyone, but I think you get the point. Okay, let's continue. Number 7. Probably overseeing all of this, learn, love, and live in your cash flow. Whether you are, yes, a business owner, a head of a division responsible for profit and loss, or a salary earner, when I learnt off a very smart friend of mine who said, Trevor, if you want to get out of pain and into freedom, learn to love and live in your cash flow. And I really did take that on, and I'm not professing to be any supersonic expert in this particular area. As I said, I'm not an accountant or a bookkeeper, but as a business owner myself, I learned, just for me and for my clients and the people that I see do well, is they truly do embrace and learn to love and live in their cash flow, and they can go in within a minute and see where they are at, what they've got, and what's coming. And for me, that's life-changing. And for those of you in my Track Clients Grow Sales system, you will have those tools that I'm sending you, that you've received. And if you're watching this and you're not in our program, I can send you those tools and we can have a chat about that if you want to really get on top of your cash flow. Okay, what I'm now going to talk to you about is the importance of how you allocate your cash flow. Okay, now, just as we recap the importance of managing our cash flow, we want to know how much we need to have coming in our ideal daily, weekly, monthly, annual cash flow that pays for everything and puts us in profit. The next thing that we want to know is, what do we need to sell or make to achieve that target without necessarily knowing the how. If you get this, I don't want you to get caught up in the how, because very often that's where people get stuck. And if I can be of any help to you in that area, but don't need to know how. But it comes to the next point is, if you are working with your team or in your division, that is where you sit and you plan and you ask and you figure it out. And you figure it out and say, okay, we need to make 100,000 a week, but we are only making 70. What do we need to bridge the gap? What do we need to cut in expenses? What do we need to do to increase sales revenue? Very, very, very important meetings and conversations to have if you don't already have them. And if you are doing that, touche to you, and I'm sure you're doing very well because of it. Okay, and we want to love, live, and learn and live in our cash flow. And the next thing is the allocation of putting money away for longer term expenses, because this is where I see and know from experience that we get unstuck in business because we're behind, and because we're behind, we then can't put money away for longer term expenses, and it's an ever down declining spiral of pain and frustration. So, in simplest terms, to those accountants watching this, or people that are really experienced in money management or got a whole lot more money than I do, or anyone, please, I say this respectfully, and hopefully it might be a nice reminder, but in simplest terms is, I always have looked at it when I got this as two buckets of money. Bucket one is where our sales, our income, or our salaries come into, and our shorter term expenses come out of that account. So that's straightforward, right? And we might have a table that allocates the tracking of that we can check into every day to see what's coming in and out, so we're in charge of our cash flow. But this is when everything changed for me. And when I saw this and I learnt this, and with people that do this and businesses that do this, it truly is life-changing. For those of you who get it, great. And if you don't, this is the key. Moving a proportion of that cash flow into a holding account. That's right. This is where you allocate insurance, BAS, GST, buffer, whatever it is, and it sits in that account. Now, for some of you, you may have $3,000 in there, because it's the total accumulation of what is represented in your buffer, in your holding account. Now, that doesn't mean that you can go spend the $3,000 or $30,000. That is not your money. That is someone else's money. You're just holding it until it's time to pay that money. I'm sure you get that, right? You're a smart person watching this, so I'm hoping that it's a good reminder because you already do it. Now, here's the thing. To do this, to take a percent from here, if you're not already doing it or you don't do it well enough at first, can be tough. Because this is where you have to go back to the cash flow rules, which is, what do we need to make to be able to put money away in our buffer? What do we need to cut back on and stop raping our cash flow? How can we increase sales or increase our income all at the same time so that happens? Now, another thing here is the importance of, when you pay something out of the holding account, it goes to zero and you start again. Now, this is a little tracking table that I use. If you want this, you can have it. I can talk to you and send you that tracking table, but it's a very simple tool. Outside of all of our Xero and all our accounting software, it allows me to see what I'm holding in my holding account, so that when things do need to get paid, it's there. And is it always easy? No. Are the sales always there? But that is no. But most times now it is, because I figured it out. And if I haven't made the money, this is just me, I don't spend it. I try not to. But overall, for me and the businesses that I see that do this very well, is they've figured out the discipline. Now, I'm not saying don't have fun. We do business, we make money because we want a great lifestyle, we want the toys, we want the things for our family. However, what I'm saying is, from my experiences, with discipline and reason, okay? Because in the words of James E. Rowan, he says, if you're gonna get excited about anything, get excited about discipline. And that is not always an easy thing for any of us, because there's emotion and stuff when it comes to money. But coming back to this in simplest terms from me to you is, bucket one, all money in, daily, weekly expenses, but a proportion of that is put over here and allocated for BAS, for GST, for our buffer, for our metaphoric FU money when we need that. And you can do a whole lot of things in your holding account here. You can put away for your holidays. You can pay off debt. Because that's the other thing that kills us in business and in life, is we are paying off debt and it is raping our cash flow. So if you are in that situation, one of the things is to get really serious and committed and figuring out what you need to do to clear the credit cards, clear the loans that don't serve you, and really have a good look at whether you need that stuff moving forward. Because we are, we're smashed every day with advertising and things that we need to buy and want to buy. So let's recap. The importance of bucket one, bucket two, whether you're a corporation, a division, or an employee, you have income and money coming in, expenses go out, and putting a proportion of that away for the longer term stuff. Now, I'm sure bookkeepers or account administration are watching this within a company. I'm sure you do this anyway, but I want to just say that I feel personally, from my experience, it's the same for all of us, whether it's a company or an individual. And coming back to the points that I said earlier is, again, guys, seriously, from my experience, while it's not always an easy thing to do, I want you to get the important reminder, as someone who doesn't necessarily always like it either, but we are in the business and we're in the living and the working of making cash flow. And that is the cold hard truth. And for those of you who get it, great. And for those of you who don't or don't want to get it, well, if you want to have peace of mind, you want to sleep well at night, I just feel, from my experience as a trainer in sales and as a consultant and strategist, that when we face up to the fact we're in the business of cash flow and that we manage it well, figure out how to direct it well, that is when everything gets better, even to the point of outstanding. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you got some good reminders and training and education out of this. And if you are watching this on my YouTube channel, if you're not in my Attract Clients Grow Sales Learning System program, which is a video-based training program that has this video in it, plus a whole lot of other education videos around sales growth, client growth, innovation, productivity, which isn't on this channel because it's for you, my members only, you can go to attractclientsgrowsales.com.au, the link's below. And if you're truly serious about your business, about your career, about your profession, I've put my heart and soul into the education in there, and it'd be a pleasure to have you join that program, because like anything, if we want to truly be outstanding at anything, we need to be educated in it. We need to keep updated, and that's what my goal is with the Attract Clients Grow Sales Learning System. And for any of you watching this video who is not in my program, because you'll already have a copy of this, if you want a copy of my book, How to Double Your Sales and Clients in 90 Days or Less, first 10 people that contact me, I will happily send you a copy of this book. Just put your comments in the comment section below. Be my absolute pleasure. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate you making the time to listen in. I hope you got some good reminders and value out of that. That's my commitment from me to you. And in closing, I would like to say this. Knowing is one thing, but doing is where success lies. It's important, yes, to know that cash flow is important, but it's the doing that makes the difference, like most things. Thank you. My name's Trevor Russell. I really look forward to talking with you, meeting with you, and speaking with you again very soon.